The trunk is the same, got some pinholes in it, and then the deck filler panel. And then the trunk lid has a little rust in it. So tail light panel is about the same. There's some starting to break through a little bit, right? I don't know if you tell, right there. Yeah. So, hey guys, I now have 8 Novas. Well, 8.5. I'm going to show all of them to you, starting with the best all the way to the worst. Now, my best car is sitting out here in the weather and has been getting rained on and leaves dropped on, and it's dirty and hasn't ran in a while just because I haven't driven it. But here it is. This 73 is my best Nova. This is a 73 custom. It has factory bucket seats and floor shifter, automatic 350 car from the factory. It actually had the rocker trim, which I have reproduction, but I never put it on. I painted this car about 13 years ago, and then a bunch of rust started coming up where I did a couple of things wrong and ruined my paint job. So my first video ever, I plastered this car, and it looked really good, and I left it on there for about 6 months, and it hid a lot of my problems in the paint. Now this thing looks really good from a distance when I don't have it all scuffed up, but this is my favorite car. This is my number one, and as bad as it is right now, it's also my best car. Now my second best Nova is Franken Nova. This car is a 74. I converted the front and the rear to 72 style. Now this has become my drag and drive car. It's all steel, all glass. It's got a small block in it. I'm NA, I don't run any boost or nitrous. And I'm in the middle of upgrading it right now with a 850 chrome moly roll cage, which will be another video coming out soon. And this thing has been a lot of fun. I've got about 5,000 miles on this thing since I started doing drag and drives, and I've had a blast with it. It is relatively rust free. It's got some rust in the quarters, just a little bit in the bottom of the fender, but it's a pretty good car as far as condition wise. I put floor pans in it a long time ago in a dash panel, but this is my second best Chevy Nova. My third best Nova actually is my 4-door to 2-door conversion car. Now it's not finished yet, but it's almost got all new panels on it, so it's pretty much my third best Nova. And here it is. Now, if you're not new to the channel, you know this started out as a 4-door that I cut the roof off of and put the inner quarters and the structure of a 2-door on it and turned it into a 2-door. Now, most of the back is welded. I've still got to weld the roof skin on. I changed out drip rails on this thing, wheel tubs, quarter panels, tail panel. Yeah, it's been through a lot of work, and I'm going to finish this up. A ton of people are waiting on me to finish this car, and it's coming soon. But this right now is my third best Nova. Now, when I said I had 8.5 Novas, this is the half. This was a 71 2-door that I cut up to make the 2-door to 4-door conversion. Now, this thing was beyond saving for mainly one reason, because all the rust it had could be fixed, but it didn't have a VIN. Now, it was very rusty too. The floor pan, you can see, was all rusted out. Frame wheel was rusty. Quarter panels were shot. I mean, it was a very rusty car. Now, the trunk floor, for whatever reason, is actually in really good condition. It's got some pinholes and stuff in it. A little bit of surface rust on the inside, but it's really in pretty good shape. It's got some pinholes right there in the middle, but I could definitely use that to patch another floor in a budget situation. And here's the front half of that 2-door. Notice the missing VIN, which is why I didn't try to do anything with it. I wasn't going to try to find a VIN for it or anything like that, but there's still a lot of good parts on this that I could use, and I might use that again in a budget situation. So my fourth best Nova is this 69 Nova that we're walking up to right now. Now, there's really not much left of it. I was in the middle of changing quarters and the roof skin and the wheel houses and the trunk floor and all that stuff when I started on the 4-door. This started out was going to be a budget grudge race car, and it just kind of snowballed and stalled at the same time. It's pretty much rust free now because I cut all the rusted panels off of it, which is also why it's not much of a Nova now. But I've got a couple ideas for it, and I am replacing the roof skin and the quarters and the wheel houses and stuff like that that went onto the 4-door car that is now a 2-door. Now, this thing has a roll bar in it that I did not put in. I've owned this probably the third longest of any of the Novas I've had. My 73's first, Franken Nova. The 74 was second. I bought this one third, and then started buying some of the other ones. But it's a pretty good car. It's got minimal rust, and it's a 69, which makes it a little cooler. And the floor pans were rust-free. They had some holes drilled in them for racing and stuff, but they were rust-free, at least, you know, when I pushed it out here. But we will get back to this car very soon. Okay, so my number 5 best Nova is not actually at my house. It's in a storage unit, and this is what it is. It is a 1972 Nova. Now, this one I bought from a subscriber, and it's in really good condition and really bad condition at the same time. You could make an argument that this is not number 5. It could be number 4, but I'll go over it and show you why I think this one is better and worse than some of the other ones. Now, first off, yeah, the dash is rusty. Not too big of a deal. The A-pillars and the roof are in great shape. No rust there. The firewall cow panel is in really good shape. There is a little bit of rust like right here, but you know, it's most of it's in really good shape. The doors are in good shape. The roof skin is in fantastic shape. All around the back glass and the sail panels, all of that, there's some surface rust there, but I'm trying to get where you can see what the light is. But all of this is in really good shape. Now, the bottom of the quarter panels have a little bit of surface rust, not bad. The trunk is the same, got some pinholes in it, and then the deck filler panel. And then the trunk lid has a little rust in it. So, tail light panel is about the same. There's some starting to break through a little bit, right? I don't know if you tell, right there, yeah. So, the back of the car, pretty rusty, but most of this is patch panel worthy. Like the weather strip lip on the quarter panel is not terrible. So you could put just like a skin on this if you needed to. Same thing on the other side. The front is rusted out, but you know, all of this is really good patch panel. So it would need a deck filler, tail light panel, trunk floor patch, and quarter patch. So why is this car 5th and not 4th? Because it doesn't need as much as the 69 Nova that I said was in 4th place. Well, one of the reasons is it's got some really hard to fix rust down there. Now you can't really tell right here, but the torque box on the body is actually pretty rusty down there. It's hard to see what all, but that's going to require a good bit of work to fix that. But overall, this car is in really good shape, and it'll be worked on soon. I wish you could see how bad that is, but see if I can zoom in. That right there is actually pretty bad. All right, for my 6th best Nova. Now, you could argue that this should be 7th or 8th. It could be the worst, depends on how you look at things. But let's look at this one. This was a 71, and this is what I consider my 6th best, at least at the moment. Okay, so my 6th best Nova. Now, this thing's obviously in a world of hurt, but it's got some good things going for it. From the quarter windows back, there's a lot of rust. The roof skin is rusted up here. Both quarter panels are pretty much destroyed. That one's missing part of the panel. The inner sail panels are chewed up, and a lot of them are gone. Same thing on the other side. You can't really tell because a part of the sail panel, the inside sail panel interior, is still in the way. The deck filler panel, trash. The trunk has some rust holes in it. It's not good. The taillight panel is trashed. The rear cross rail panel has a bunch of rust in it. Actually, the frame rails are not bad at all. They're kind of good. And like I said, this quarter panel is just like the other one. It's missing a little bit right here, so it's junk. This door is dented, but not terribly rusty. Other doors kind of rusty and dented. The floor pans are actually pretty good. This one has a rust hole in it right there. So yeah, that's bad. But if you can look under the car, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it or not. The floor pans aren't bad. The driver's side rear footwell is dented in, but it's not rusty. So the front footwells are a little rusty, mainly the passenger side right here, which got a big hole in it. But little patches could fix that, and the floors and rockers are in pretty good shape. The front dash does not need to be changed. Probably one of the very few that I've had that are like that. It's got a little dent in it right there, but it's got some surface rust across the front, but there's no rust through. So this doesn't have to get messed with. The VIN is actually kind of rusty, so I'm worried about that, but you can still read it. The A-pillars and the roof skin on the front, they're not bad at all. Pretty good shape. The dash, or I'm sorry, the cowl and the firewall, a lot of surface rust, but it's not all beat up and it's not rusted through. So this car is pretty solid on the front half. And as far as the roof skin goes, it's really good everywhere except for the back. And maybe one of those, who is it, Belden or someone makes the patches for the rear window channel. I'm not sure if it would go up far enough to fix that piece down there, but I think that might patch the roof skin on this, and I may do that when I build this car. Now the subframe under this car is actually from the one that's worst on the list, my number 8 Nova, and this is a 72 subframe. This car did not come with a subframe, but it did come at some point with sport mirrors, remote sport mirrors, but that's probably junk now. That door, like I said, not sure if that can be fixed or not, probably not worth it, but it's got all the hardware in the door. So this thing's in a world of hurt, but it is still number 6. Also, while we're in here, I have this front section and cowl of a 4-door that I cut up, and I'm saving it because the door jambs have some good pieces, the cowls, A-pillar sections if I need a section to patch a 2-door, and a whole lot of good dash parts that are in this thing. Now, out of all 8 Novas going from good to bad, number 7 is this 72 right here. Now this thing, it needs a lot of work, and I've actually already started working on it, but the floor pans when I got it were shot. I'm talking about bad, and they're still kind of bad. The firewall type, the toe boards are still pretty rusty. The back package tray has been cut out for a speaker box. It's got a lot of rust. It's got some rust like in your inside quarters right there. The doors have rust on them. The rockers have a little bit of rust. The dash is rusty. The A-pillars have a little. It's not bad, but it's there. The windshield channels are actually okay on the roof skin. It's got some rust on the firewall, cab corner on the other side. It's or cow panel, not a cab corner. It's not a truck. Quarter panels are pretty rusty. The trunk is rusty, and the taillight panel is rusted through and beat up pretty bad. Passenger side quarter has some rust in it right there, and in the back. The roof skin and sail panels are actually in pretty good condition. So there's really, there's rust there, but it's nothing too bad. And your inner sail panel, unlike the last car, your inner sail panel is actually not all that bad. So this car mainly is next to worst because it needs repair everywhere. Cow panel, dash panel, firewall, cow panel there, the cow side panel, the doors, the rocker panels, the quarter panels, pretty much everything but the roof skin. And honestly, it's got a ton of surface rust that would be hard to clean up, but I mean, it's certainly possible. But it just needs, it needs stuff everywhere. Your inner quarter panels are rusty. The transition panel is gone. So I do plan on using some of this car to fix this car. So that transition panel is actually in good shape on this car, if you can get to it. So I've already bought some panels for this car, so I do plan on fixing it. Started working on the floor. That's part of another video. But this car is my 7th worst Chevy Nova. All right, so my number 8 worst Chevy Nova that I have. Now this car has more going against it than it does for it. That's why it's last. It's easier to show you the good things about it than the bad things about it. So here we go. Okay, so this thing has rust pretty much everywhere. Now it's got rusty A-pillars. It's got a rusty dash, rusty cowl panel. It's rusted all right there. The doors are rusty. The rocker panels are actually about the only good thing on the car. The roof, the surface of the roof isn't bad. The inner sail panels are actually good on this. And believe it or not, the windshield channel on the roof, like I said, the roof isn't terrible. Windshield channel on the roof is fine. The quarters are rusty up here, but like I said, the inner structure is okay. And the floor is completely shot everywhere. The inner quarters are mostly okay, but everything on this car pretty much needs rust repair. And we'll get around to the back real quick so you can see the back. The trunk floor isn't terrible, but it does have some rust through right there. Taillight panel is rusted. The rear cross member has some rust. I don't think it's rusted through anywhere, but the outer lip or edge of the trunk panel is gone. So probably get a full trunk. I'm not sure what all I'm going to do with this one yet. And then the deck lid has a bunch of rust in it. So deck filler is also bad. So this car pretty much needs everything except for roof skin, and that's questionable just because of the surface rust that's on it. So it needs quarters, it needs taillight panel, it needs trunk panel, it needs a floor panel, it needs a dash and a firewall. And the doors are rusty, so they need patched. Now I'm talking about they're rusty like at the top up here. So not even sure. I mean, it needs a skin, not just a patch somewhere. So this thing is by far, well, to me by far, maybe some of these other ones, the rustiest Chevy Nova I have. Now, it is a 72. It's got an 8.5-inch rear end in it. It's got some cool trim stuff on there, like the vinyl top trim. It's got a bunch of those pieces. So I bought it for $400 a few years ago, and it's just been sitting. I do have a video somewhere of me pulling this thing apart because I bought this car complete without the front sheet metal. So it had motor, transmission. The 307 that I built came out of this car. It had a motor, transmission, rear end. It didn't have any interior, and it didn't have a front clip. But this is the car that I robbed the subframe off of for one of the ones in storage so I could move it. Okay, so that's all 8 Novas that I own from best to worst. Now, y'all might disagree with me a little bit about which one's worst or best or whatever, some in the middle. But I have plans to fix all of these to some degree. Some of them I already have complete plans for. Some of them I don't. So you guys tell me what you'd like to see me do with these cars, and we'll see you next video.